Hello and welcome to this episode of Tigunia TipTok. My name is Dave Weiser from Tigunia, and the topic of this session is selecting vendor invoices for payment. Business Central provides a couple of different options for selecting the vendor invoices that you want to pay, and we're going to talk about three of those methods today. The first method we're going to talk about is using the Suggest Vendor Payments function to be able to select the vendor invoices. This function is called from the payment journal, so we're going to go ahead and open up our payment journal. Select the batch that we want to use. When the batch opens up, we want to go to Prepare and then Suggest Vendor Payments. We'll be presented with a dialog box where we can select the pay through date, whether we want to pick up cash discounts, the posting date for the transaction, the bank payment type that we want to use, which in this case is computer check. We can also filter for specific vendors if we want to do that. I'm just going to leave that wide open and click OK. The system's then going to find all the vendor invoices that meet the current criteria and bring those back into the payment journal. You can see that it brought back 5 vendor payments that we need to make. If we go ahead and click on one of those and then go to Process and Apply Entries, we'll be able to see the invoices that are going to be paid on that specific payment. We can make adjustments if we want to at this point until we get everything just right. Assuming this is okay, we can go ahead then and print our checks and post those checks. The section option we want to look at is basically looking at a manual entry. So I'm going to go ahead and delete these lines. Now we're basically going to set up a vendor payment manually. So I'm going to come over to my account number and I'm going to select one of my vendors. I'm going to leave the amount blank at this point, but I'm going to come over and set my bank payment type to computer check. I can fill in an amount here, but if I leave it blank, then when I go over to the Process and Apply Entries, I can then select the specific invoices that I want to pay. Maybe I just want to pay these first 2. I can select the 2 of them, come up to Process and set the Applies To entry. It's set those entry, and now it'll take the total when I click OK, and it'll bring that total back into the amount column. I can then add additional payments to additional vendors. I can reapply transactions if I need to until I find the transaction I want. That's a manual approach. It takes a little bit longer. I wouldn't suggest it. The Suggest Vendor Payments is an option that's a little better suited to be able to do that. So I'm going to go ahead and delete that transaction so I can go to the third option. The third option for selecting payments basically works from the vendor ledger entry page. So I'm going to open up the vendor ledger entries. So I see my list of all my vendor ledger entries. I do have a saved view that looks at only the open invoices and credit memos. We'll talk about saved views in another session. But now I can go through here and pick the invoices that I want to pay. So I can go and select as many as I want. In this case, I'm going to select those. Once those are selected, then I can go up to Process, the Process menu option, and click on Create Payments. What this is going to do then is provide a dialog box asking me what cash receipt or cash payment journal template I want to use and batch name, what the posting date is, and the bank payment type. Once I hit OK, that's going to go ahead and open up my payment journal with those specific invoices and those specific vendors brought automatically into the payment journal. You can see that if I click on one and go to Process and Apply Payments or Apply Entries, then I can see the entries that are there. I can go ahead and adjust things if I want to until I get that journal just right. This is one of the newer options that's available in Business Central in the last couple of versions, and it is very handy because it gives you a better way of being able to select specific invoices for payment regardless of the due date, regardless of the discount date, and it's a nice option to be able to quickly pick some invoices from your vendor ledger entry, send them off to the payment journal, and go ahead and process those payments. So which one should you use? I can't provide that other than to say pick the one that's best suited for you. You can use all 3, you can use just one. It's just whatever the best and the easiest option is for you. So with that, thanks for watching. Please subscribe to our channel and click on the bell icon if you want to be notified of any future videos. If you have any questions or want to talk with any of us about any of our services, go ahead and visit us at www.tigunia.com or send an email to us at connect@tigunia.com. Have a productive day.